Is the High Elf Noble any good in patch 6.2? It's not that they were ever bad, but High Elf options tend to get complicated. Let's try and simplify things and give you a good idea what you're getting and why. Recruited for 750 gold and 187 upkeep, the Noble comes on Ultra as a slender 3,688 health soldier. Armor is 80 to start, very solid without being Chaos Dwarf level. Missile resistance is the standard 15%, leadership 75, speed 36, charge speed 44, very orthodox. Melee attack begins at 42, attack interval 4, splash size large, and max target splash a narrow 3, but we'll come back to this soon. Melee defense begins at 50, very decent. Weapon strength arrives at 340, split base 120, and armor piercing to 120, but the thing is, he has a bonus versus large of 35, instantly at the top of such things. It's stupid how good a bonus this is. Charge bonus is 22, and mass is 500. As you might expect, the Noble has charge bonus versus large and charge reflection and comes stocked with martial prowess, so plus 2 melee attack and plus 12 melee defense unless under 25% health when wounds affects it anyway. On a Barded Steed, cost goes up to 950 gold and 237 upkeep, health rises to 4,176, armor to 100. As you might expect, speed goes up to 84, charge speed 108, so keeping pace with default cavalry units like Reavers and Dragon Princes. Charge bonus goes up to 42 and mass to 1300, and while it loses charge reflection and ability to brace, the Noble otherwise retains all anti-large utility and therefore can go actively monster hunting. On a Great Eagle, we're up to 1250 gold and 275 upkeep, health soars to 4,768, armor 60 only, speed 110, charge speed 120. Melee attack begins at 47, attack interval 4, splash target size large, and max target splash 4. Melee defense is now 35. Weapon strength is now 420, a high number, but split base 252 and AP 168. No bonus versus large, but charge bonus 72 is not nothing, and mass is 1300 again. If your target is appropriate, this is a ferocious mount option. If not, trouble. Finally, the Noble can get onto a Chariot. Gold 1200, upkeep 300, 5012 health, armor 110, speed is 84, and charge speed 108 like the regular Chariots, and keeping pace with regular cavalry. Melee attack starts at 32, attack interval 4.6, very large splash size, max target splash, in pitched combat 3. Melee defense is limited to 24 base, weapon strength 300, split base 210, and armor piercing 90, but with a bonus versus infantry of 20. Now, being a Chariot, it will have collision attacks. Charge bonus is 74 in that context, and mass is 1500. Not going to lie, most people will keep the Noble on foot or at most put one on a horse, but the options exist for a reason. Sometimes you're aggrieved by a sorceress on a Dark Pegasus and you need to hunt and kill that sorceress. It's just, this is such a fundamental hero, existing before a lot of others that came since. It's well worth it to understand the full extent of its use. As an embedded hero, this is of course a wait, it's not. That's the Loremaster. This is a replenished troops hero, therefore everything else he does is gravy. His map passive is increased trade, and trade is mother's milk for any high elf faction. Against garrisons, the Noble will secure influence, critical for the faction, but assassinate and assault units are very solid agent actions, and specialist reduces the gold cost thereof. At rank 4, Speed of Asuryan grants speed plus 10% and melee defense plus 3. Both start to get a lot more important once the Noble gets off his mere 2 feet. Wars of Hoek and Loeth are your basic missile resistance 10% and spell resistance 10% 1-pip wonders. For the combat line, Weapon Master is plus 4 melee attack and 4% weapon strength at 1 pip. Valor of Ages at 2 pips is plus 8 weapon strength generally, and plus 15% against basically every evil race out there, but undead are not included. Hard to Hit at 3 pips is plus 12 melee defense, Blade Master is plus 12 melee attack, and that's naturally lower. Indomitable is plus 12 leadership at 3. Foe Seeker is your old speed increase and fatigue decrease active skill. Wound Maker is plus 20% weapon strength at 3. Full plate armor is plus 15 armor at 3. Blade Shield plus 12 melee defense at 3, which strengthens that area, and is especially important if you go Chariot later. Expeditious Endeavor stacks with the prior skill and is plus 15% speed at 3 pips, which gets crazy on the Eagle. And, as is now standard for such heroes in Warhammer 3, Colossal Strike gives him extra striking power generally and plus 16 versus large target. Here's the thing, unlike, say, Skarsnik, he actually gets mounts, so he could be proccing this on a giant eagle while hunting that sorceress on a dark Pegasus. Provided he can catch up, he'll win that. The end. Finally, there is a very personal line with 3 skills available unlocked at rank 10, but they are mutually exclusive. Knowledge of High Elf Affairs grants plus 2 to High Elf Relations, plus 3% to trade tariffs, that's the base trade income, not resources related but still, and plus 3% to entertainment buildings, revenue faction-wide. Knowledge of Man's Affairs is diplomacy plus 2 with Bretonnia, Empire, Southern Realms, and Norska, funny, plus 3% tariffs again, and plus 3% to port income faction-wide. Knowledge of Lizardman Affairs, you can tell this was a Vortex campaign design, is plus 2 diplomacy with Lizardmen, plus 3% to tariffs, and plus 3% to industry buildings faction-wide. You could write a whole term paper on traits in the High Elf faction, so just know that there's a lot, and I'm letting that rest beyond the scope of this video. So how do you use the Noble? I was quite serious in saying that as a replenished troops hero, everything else is a pure bonus, but reliable anti-large against single entities is still worth its weight in gold early on, especially with a slender elf. As your options increase, you'll just need to know your enemy and adjust appropriately. The item's rework means you might get some very interesting things to slap on a noble to help further, but many players, myself included, are loath to do anything to make this hero less good at hunting Hydra heads. That's because your regular options tend to be less than ideal. There's a ton of flexibility, you can get lots of stuff going on with a particular general, so you just need to build according to your specific needs, and above all else, get ones you like to rank 20 so you won't lose them. That helps. Take care, and have fun sorting things out with poise and practiced reflexes.